Theatrephonic presents Explorers. Written by Barbara Jennings.
Edith, we need to talk.
Do come in, Diana. Don't bother to knock.
I'm sorry, but you've been avoiding me all day.
I haven't been avoiding you. I've been busy. This place doesn't run itself, you know. Very well, sit down. I can give you 5 minutes. What is it?
Do you need to ask? You had no right to send out that press release.
When I last checked, I was still director here. I think I'm entitled to issue a press release.
But it's my research.
Up to a point. Look, Diana, I value research for its own sake as much as anyone. That's why I give all my team leaders a few hours a week to spend on their own personal projects, using Woodmore's life sciences resources. But, in return, that research belongs to Woodmore, just as what we do for our clients belongs to our clients.
I accept that, but 1, you sent out a press release without even telling me, and 2, the work is nowhere near the press release stage. I haven't finished writing the paper, let alone submitted it for publication. And why refer to TD7?
Because that's what you call it.
It's laboratory shorthand. People will expect their GP to prescribe it next week. This is appalling. You're a scientist and you have ridden roughshod over proper scientific procedure which will remove all credibility from the research. And I know why you've done it.
Meaning?
A possible new treatment for osteoarthritis is attention-grabbing, and you think it'll raise Woodmore's profile.
Is that so terrible? We're a contract research organisation. We need to attract business. The world doesn't owe us a living. I can't think only of scientific purity.
Oh, don't give me the "I've worked in the industry, I know what the real world is like" line.
It only annoys you because it's true. Diana, I assume you started this project because it mattered to you. Don't you want it known about? We'll need collaborators and funding if we're to go any further to clinical trials.
Who's going to want to collaborate with us if we can't follow normal protocols?
Anyone who wants to be part of developing an effective arthritis treatment. A short course of injections that will restore the joint's normal functions for months at a time. No steroids, no side effects. The potential reduction in human suffering is immense.
Even if it works, if the results translate from mice to humans, we're talking years.
Someone like your husband might not have to give up their career.
Henry hasn't given up his career. Simply transferred to an office job. It's no longer practical or safe for him to be on a ward, and he has come to terms with that.
But it must be hard for a man with a real vocation for nursing.
Oh, stop trying to make this a personal, emotional matter. It's not. It's about doing things properly.
Well, we'll just have to disagree about what constitutes doing things properly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm sure we both have plenty to do.
Supplies for the troops?
For heaven's sake, Aidan, carry those boxes one at a time.
Don't worry, boss, I can manage. I'm a feature at the gym, when I can afford it.
It's the boxes I'm worried about, not you. I don't want a chemical spillage in here.
All under control. Another text. I'm popular today. Everyone thinks it's cool I'm working here. Now Woodmore's all over the social media.
Mostly in places I've never heard of.
Don't your kids keep you up to date?
I suppose Kate did when she was at home. James is the type who was born middle-aged. But they're both living so far away now, it changes things.
Aidan!
Okay, I'm turning it off. So, how did the meeting with Edith go?
That's Dame Edith to you, or at least till you've got Doctor in front of your name. I think the phrase frank and meaningful discussion just about covers it.
Thought I felt like a faint earth tremor.
Very droll. It didn't help that I'd just been talking to one of the tidal wave of half-witted reporters she's just released on us.
Not a good interview.
He introduced himself as the paper's scientific correspondent and then asked me what exactly a randomised double-blind trial was. No doubt the political correspondent would have needed me to explain general election.
That's a field I'd like to get into.
Politics?
No, journalism. Being a science correspondent.
He wouldn't be doing any hands-on science, but it's a worthwhile career. Improving public understanding, and you've got some of the right qualities. You're articulate, you write well, you get on with people, but you lack one major journalistic skill.
What's that?
Meeting deadlines. Where, for instance, is the spreadsheet of results I asked you for?
On your desk?
This is the invisible version we're talking about, is it?
On your desk by the end of the day. The printer's been playing up.
And there are no other printers in the building?
Sorry, boss.
And please break the habit of calling me boss. We are not in a gangster film.
Sorry, Diana. But you'd be a great gangster. You've got the steely glint, ready to make somebody an offer they can't refuse.
Well, I'm making you an offer to do some work. Your supervisor arranged this placement to contribute to your PhD, but it won't do that unless you put in some effort. You need to buck your ideas up, Aidan, because... Henry!
Afternoon, Mr. Taylor.
Hello, Aidan. And it's Henry, remember?
What are you doing here?
Just looking in on my way home. What's happened to reception? I thought I was going to have to produce my national insurance number and blood group to get into the building.
Dame Edith is overhauling all aspects of security. She might introduce strip searching next. That'd be fun.
Aidan!
Are you having security problems?
No, but it's important to clients, so we have to be seen to be being vigilant. Henry, why are you on your way home? It's only 3:30.
I'm trying out this flexible hours business.
How's the new job going?
Oh, it's fine. Different to being on the wards, but I'm getting used to it. Everyone's very pleasant. You were on the local radio news at midday, Di.
Misquoted and misrepresented, no doubt. Boffin finds miracle cure for arthritis.
Diana's not happy with the level of scientific literacy in the media.
Wasn't there something else Diana wasn't happy about?
There was, and I'm off to find a functioning printer. See you, Henry.
Bye. Nice lad.
Affable, but idle. He's bright enough, but he thinks he can get by on looks, charm, and the minimum of actual work. Still, that's his PhD supervisor's problem, not mine. You're looking a bit peaky, Henry. Another headache?
Yes. Nothing to worry about.
Well, I'm not so sure. They've been almost continuous for weeks. You need to ring the surgery and make an appointment.
I'll see how it goes. Probably a touch of stress with the change of job.
Maybe. But don't leave it too long. Sorry, Henry, I have to go. Someone from the local arthritis support group is coming. I need to damp down their expectations. Oh, how could Edith have landed me in this?
It might be a great breakthrough, Di.
But it's too early to say. Far too early. I hate the idea of people getting their hopes up and being disappointed. All I have are some promising results in mice. Perhaps I should never have started this project. Oh, well, it's too late now.
Do you mind if I sit here for a few minutes?
Of course not. Take your time. See you this evening.
I'm just off, Henry.
Aren't you having any breakfast?
No, I've got to make up all that time that I was obliged to spend on reporters and the like. I'll open that new jar of honey for you before I go.
I've already done it.
I thought your opener gizmo-y thing was broken.
It is. I did it myself. See my fingers?
They do look more flexible. Keep a note of the date and see if the improvement continues. I wonder what caused it.
Di, I need to tell you something.
Can it wait till this evening?
It could, but I'd rather it didn't. Maybe you should sit down.
Is it one of the children? Something's wrong and nobody's told me.
No, the kids are fine.
So what is it? Come on, Henry, you know I hate suspense.
I don't know how to tell you.
Well, try.
When I called in to see you on Tuesday, you went to talk to that support group person and I stayed put for a bit.
Yes?
There was no one else about. I went into the storeroom and took a file of TD7. Then I went back to the hospital. I knew Sally would let me have a couple of syringes, no questions asked. We worked together for so long.
I don't believe this. Are you saying you injected yourself with TD7?
Yes. You seem to be losing faith in your research. I wanted to give you a reason to keep believing in it.
Of all the stupid, moronic, brain-dead, unprofessional things to do, you're medically trained, for heaven's sake. TD7 hasn't been assessed for safety in humans.
There's a long history of scientists experimenting on themselves.
With the emphasis on history, not now. And how much irreversible damage did they do?
You said you couldn't see anything potentially harmful in TD7. That was one of its strongest points.
That was my opinion, not the result of proper investigation.
Well, it didn't do me any harm, and it worked as quickly as it did in the mice. Look at my fingers. Look at the honey jar. Isn't that evidence?
No, it's anecdote. Evidence is a properly conducted double-blind clinical trial. I'm going to work.
Don't rush off in a temper. Let's talk about it.
Henry, part of Edith's big push on security is tightening up record-keeping on everything we prepare for use in the lab. All those racks of files. No one signed for that TD7. I need to get in before Aidan does his weekly audit.
Oh, morning, Diana. Do you look a bit ruffled?
A bus had broken down at the narrowest point of the high street. Total chaos. I thought I'd never get out of the town. And I meant to be in early.
Glad I come from the other direction, or I'd have been stuck in it too. Please note I was in early, and I've already done the audit. There's one discrepancy. Perhaps I should make notices about signing for everything bigger and bolder, put it in some eye-catching graphics.
Fine, but don't spend all morning on it. What was the discrepancy?
Oh, nothing serious. One file of the harmless solution that's used for the control group mice in the protein receptor study.
TD7 all okay?
Yeah, of course. You're the only one who uses that, and your record keeping is meticulous. You're still looking stressed, Diana. Shall I get you a coffee?
Yes, thanks, Aidan. That would help.
Oh, an email intended for you landed in my inbox. No idea why. I didn't realise straight away, so I'm afraid I more or less read it. I forwarded it to you.
Who's it from?
A Professor Ellis or Elliot L something. It won't brighten your day.
Oh, more acid comments about ignoring the established procedure for publishing research?
Yes. He should take it up with Dame Edith. She put out the press release.
But my name's on the research. I get the flack.
But you'll get the credit eventually, once you get TD7 through clinical trials.
I keep telling everyone that's not necessarily going to happen. Is my coffee ever going to happen?
On my way.
Right, okay.
Here you are.
Oh, thanks.
I saw you talking to half a dozen people by the fence as I was leaving yesterday. Who were they?
A delegation from the animal rights group. Edith wouldn't let them in beyond the gate.
Were they aggressive?
No, not at all. None of the thugs who give animal rights a bad name. Just decent, compassionate people who think it's wrong to use animals in medical research, which will only benefit humans. I explained we operate within strict regulations and we don't use animals if there's any alternative method. No one was convinced, but it was all very civilised.
Our mice seem to have a pretty cushy life. No risk of being dinner for an owl or a cat like their wild cousins. It's not all Beatrix Potter out there.
No, but that's their natural environment. It's a tricky area, and it gets trickier when there's a doubt over whether or not the results in mice would translate to humans.
I'm surprised. I expected you to think animal rights people a bunch of cranks.
No, they have a valid point of view. And it's one that Henry shares. Although he's generous enough not to say so publicly, because what I do here sometimes involves using rodents.
Oh, is that why you've only been giving TD7 to mice that have developed arthritis naturally with age?
Yes, I didn't feel entitled to induce arthritis merely to test my theory. Right, that's enough about TD7. Let's get on with work that clients pay us to do.
I'm home.
In the kitchen.
Oh, something smells good.
Peace offering. After this morning.
You didn't have to do that. Can I help?
No, you sit down. How was your day?
Lousy start. A broken-down bus blocking the high street for what seemed like hours.
Did you get in before Aidan?
No. He'd already done the checking and noticed a discrepancy.
I'm sorry, Di.
Forget about it. It's all sorted. Careful. You nearly dropped that dish. How are your hands now?
Oh, just as usual. But I didn't expect the improvement to last. I probably used mouse doses. The important thing is that TD7 made a positive difference.
No, it didn't.
Oh, Di, it did. I know I'm one person, not a proper trial, but...
Henry, TD7 didn't make any difference because you didn't use any.
I don't understand.
You must have misread the shelf labelling. What you took was the solution we used to inject mice in the control group, so that all the mice in the trial have had some sort of injection. It had no effect on the mice, and it wouldn't on humans.
But my hands...
Pure coincidence. Or a temporary placebo effect.
I see. I only wanted to help, Di, to encourage you to press on.
I know. I appreciate the intention.
I still could. Try it out, I mean, to see what happens.
Listen to me, Henry. Absolutely, categorically, no. The subject is closed. Give me a shout when dinner's ready, eh?
Come in, Henry. No need to knock. Diana's not here, I'm afraid. Team leaders meeting.
I know. It was you I wanted to see, Aidan.
I'm honoured. What can I do for you?
Could we have a private word?
This is mysterious. I think the small meeting room at the end of the corridor is free. This way. Have a seat, Henry. What's this about? If it's planning a surprise party, you have come to the right man.
No, nothing like that. I believe you're looking after Diana's storeroom at the moment and making up some of the solutions the team uses?
That's right. No mind-altering substances, though, if that's what you're after. Only joking. Although there are some rumours about the team in the basement.
Aidan, you think Diana's arthritis research is worthwhile, don't you?
Yes, of course. I'd like to be more involved, but she says it has no connection to my PhD topic. You know what a stickler she is. But I managed to coax her into letting me make up the TD7 and tabulate some of the results. Between ourselves, my cunning plan is to get my name included on the paper.
She seems to be losing confidence with this press interest so early on, and things not going through the proper channels. I want to help. I offered to try TD7 out myself.
I bet she turned you down flat.
In no uncertain terms. But I still want to do it. I just need the TD7.
Where are you going with this, Henry?
You make the stuff and check the records. Diana mentioned a 7 to 10 day course appearing to have long-term effects. If you could get me, say, 10 days' supply, scaling up from mouse to human doses...
Whoa, hold on, mate. Diana would crucify me.
She won't know about it unless it works, and then she'll forgive both of us because we'll have proved those initial results are worth pursuing.
Henry, I'm sorry, I really can't risk this.
I'd make it worth your while. I know what it's like when you're young, always strapped for cash.
How much were you thinking of?
Say, £50?
Ah.
Per day's dose, for a 10-day trial.
And you'll square it with Diana, if it works, and you'll tell her?
Of course.
Okay, mate, you're on. You could be about to make medical history, Henry.
If you are enjoying Theatrephonic, we would really appreciate your support. By donating to our Patreon, you can help us produce more frequent episodes as well as more additional content. And by signing up to our Patreon, you will gain instant access to ad-free episodes, blooper reels, and Q&A sessions, as well as the opportunity to watch live recordings and name a character in a play. Visit patreon.com/Theatrephonic for more information. That's patreon.com/Theatrephonic to get more of what you love.
Bum, bum.
I'm home. Henry? Where are you?
In the lounge.
Are you all right?
Yes. Sorry, I haven't started dinner.
No problem. We can have a takeaway or something. Henry, you've been quite withdrawn these past few days. Are your headaches getting worse?
No. Actually, I haven't had one for about a week.
That's good. I was getting to the point of insisting that you asked for some tests. So, if they're gone... What's the matter?
I can't tell you.
Why not?
Because I don't feel up to a row.
That's not entirely fair. I know I got in a temper a few weeks ago about the business with the TD7, but I think I was justified. I suppose you've done something you think I won't approve of. Well, you might as well tell me and get it over and done with.
You wouldn't let me try out TD7?
No, I certainly wouldn't.
So I did it behind your back.
What?
The first time I took the wrong stuff. This time I made sure it was the right stuff. I bought the syringes, needles, a sharp spin. I tried it for 10 days, scaled up the dose from mouse to human.
But you can't have done. I mean, you haven't been into Woodmore.
It did nothing, Di. Nothing at all. No relief of any symptoms. I know that's still an anecdote, not a trial, but...
How did you get the TD7? Henry, how did you... Oh, Aidan, I suppose.
It wasn't his fault.
He's an adult. He's responsible for his own actions. Or irresponsible in this case. Well, that's his career over before it even starts.
Di, I don't want that on my conscience.
It's Aidan's conscience. Or lack of it, I'm worried about. Did money change hands? Yes, of course it did. Aidan is always short of cash. I'll talk to Edith tomorrow.
Do you have to tell her? Couldn't you...
What, pretend it never happened?
If I hadn't told you, you'd never have known.
But I do know, and I can't live with it rattling around like the proverbial skeleton in the cupboard. What possessed you to do something so stupid?
I thought I was going to give you proof the project was worth continuing. And I thought, if it worked, there might be a chance of getting my career back.
What were you expecting? a secret supply of TD7 every 12 to 18 months when the effects wore off, for however many years it took to be licensed?
I didn't think that bit through. I was desperate. Nursing was so much part of me, I didn't know how I was going to manage without it. To be honest, I'm not sure I've been entirely in my right mind these past few weeks.
Oh, Henry, I had no idea. I realised the change in job was disappointing, but you seem to be coping so well, taking it in your stride. Was that all an act?
Yes.
And the headaches? Were they real?
Horribly real, but at least I could hide behind them. Headaches are easier to talk about than depression.
Oh, and I've been no help. I misread the data on a grand scale. Did you confide in anyone?
No. When I found my hands were getting stiff and awkward and my knees started to give way unexpectedly, I just hid it. Edith had introduced her personal project time, and you'd begun working on that synovial fluid theory you came up with years ago. I had complete faith in it. I thought if I could keep going for a while longer, it would come to the rescue. But you could only give it a few hours a week, and the symptoms got worse so quickly. You noticed. Everyone noticed. And they told me I had to change job. In the patient's best interests, Henry. I'm sure you understand. I felt worthless, useless. Without my patients, what good was I to anyone?
But you have a family. How could you feel useless?
The kids are grown up, leading their own lives. You're completely absorbed in your work. That's not a criticism, it's something I admire. But my patients needed me.
I need you. I always have, but I'm a bit inept at showing it. I'm hopeless at talking about feelings, as the children have frequently pointed out. I can only deal with things in practical ways. Oh, Henry, what a mess.
What do you think Edith will do?
There's not much she can do short of going to the police, and she won't want a scandal. Let's worry about that tomorrow. Tonight, we need to concentrate on you. I'll get us something to eat. Here you are. Poached eggs. I've burned the toast as usual. Sorry.
Doesn't matter. Thanks.
Henry, I said earlier I can only deal with things in practical ways. Now I have two suggestions. We press for a consultant's appointment to make sure you've tried all the treatment options. All the legitimate ones. And you talk to human resources. With your experience and skills, there must be jobs that you're still considered able to manage that are face-to-face. Maybe jobs that involve interviewing patients, explaining diagnoses. And additional training would be no problem. You always pick things up so quickly.
All right. I'll give it a try.
Good. I was thinking I might invite Miriam Levy to lunch one weekend. I haven't seen her in ages.
Isn't she at one of the big teaching hospitals now?
Yes, she's running a clinic for sufferers from migraine and persistent headaches.
Hang on. You can't ask Miriam to give me a private consultation over lunch, especially when my headaches seem to be gone. Di, you're not thinking that TD7 got rid of my headaches?
I can't see how it could do that. There's no obvious mechanism. But one simply shouldn't ignore coincidences. I'd like to tell Miriam, in case it's of any interest to her.
Do you really want anyone else to know what happened?
Miriam's very discreet. I have reason to know that. And I won't mention her or the headaches to Edith. You'll have to cook, though. We couldn't give her one of my burnt offerings.
Oh, I don't know. Your poached eggs on toast are definitely improving. Nearly up to the standard of your baked beans on toast.
So, there you have it. The whole sordid tale. I'm sorry, Edith. Naturally, I'll give you my resignation.
Don't bother. I won't accept it.
But it happened in my lab. It's my responsibility.
Your responsibility is to help me safeguard Woodmore's future. I spent years making this place a success, and getting you here was no small part of that. I'm not going to let your husband's, what shall we call it, lapse of judgment and a student's total disregard for professional conduct ruin everything. Yes. Show them into the conference room and ply them with coffee. I'll be down momentarily. Oh, and tell Lionel to join them. I'm sure he can cope for a few minutes. Say I'm relying on his brilliance to win us this contract. Thanks. What do you think would happen if those people downstairs got wind of the fact that Woodmore isn't biosecure, and one member of the staff is easily bribed?
They'd walk out without bothering to say goodbye.
Taking Woodmore's reputation with them. Silence is our only option.
So, what do you want me to do?
Carry on, as if nothing had happened. Business as usual.
And TD7?
You finish writing up your research, submit it for publication, and see what response you get. The press will soon forget this story, if they haven't already.
I can't have Aidan in my lab anymore.
Have you talked to him yet?
Oh, no. He's on leave today. Helping a friend move house, I think.
Just as well. I feel fairly murderous. All right. I'll phone in this evening. He can study at home while I sort something out with his supervisor. The professor will probably move him back to the university lab.
Are you going to tell the professor everything?
What would that achieve? Aidan would lose his chance at a PhD and be looking for a job with no one willing to give him a reference, which would be highly satisfactory, except that Woodmore would collapse after the story leaked out, so you and I would also be looking for work. No, I'll probably say that the protein receptor study isn't as good a fit as we expected with Aidan's PhD topic, and I'll make sure Aidan says exactly the same.
What makes it worse is that TD7 didn't even work.
Correction. TD7 didn't work out in one individual who wasn't using it in a proper trial environment. Not valid data.
You're right. It's just doing research. There's always a corner of your mind that hopes for a big breakthrough, the discovery that changes lives for the better. As you get older, that corner shrinks, but it never quite disappears.
You know what a wise person once said to me? Scientists are explorers. They always hope to find their way to a glorious view no one's ever seen before, but more often than not they come to a dead end. Then what matters is to map the dead end so other people know it's there, and perhaps someone else will be able to open it up and get a glorious view.
That was me, Edith, in one of my more pretentious and high-flown moments. I still believe it, but at present I wish I'd spent more time exploring what was happening to my husband.
Easy to be wise after the event. I shouldn't have jumped the gun with the press release. I shan't be doing that again. Come on, Diana. We can deal with this and move on. I'll talk to Aidan. You look after Henry. I dearly wish he hadn't done it, but I do sympathize with him. We all need a purpose in life. And right now, mine is to go and persuade those visitors that they can't possibly entrust their project to anyone but us.
And I'll go back to the lab. Business as usual. Thank you, Edith.
You have been listening to Explorers, written by Barbara Jennings, directed by Emmeline Braefield, with Genevieve Swift as Diana, Helen Fullerton as Dame Edith, Tom Eastwood as Aidan, and AJ Deane as Henry. Produced by Cat on a Piano Productions. For a full list of the music in this production, please see the show notes. The Theatrephonic theme tune was composed by Jackson Pentland, performed by Jackson Pentland, Mollie Fyfe-Taylor, and Emmeline Braefield. For more information about the Theatrephonic podcast, go to catonapiano.uk/Theatrephonic, tweet or Instagram us at Theatrephonic, or visit our Facebook page. If you enjoy Theatrephonic and would like to get more content, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Theatrephonic. Thank you for listening.